Today's video is sponsored by RPG Stories and Brave Alice. Embark on your next treasure hunt with treasure hunting. Discover a brand new Zine Quest collection of 3 treasure hunting quests, containing detailed storylines, amazing old school art style, 3 treasure maps ready for printing, an adjustable writing style for any medieval fantasy TTRPG system, a second chance to pledge for RPG Stories World Builder VTT. Although you can play our treasure hunting quests in any world setting, this Zine edition introduces our homebrew world set of Moonstone. You will travel from the islands of Avagata to the cursed forest of Echthalist and the lost valley of Salunta, and you will get to meet 2 new character classes, the Knights of Robertia and the Necromancers of Monastis. As amazing as the treasure hunting quests are, for a limited time, if you pledge for the RPG Stories VTT Hunter tier, you will get a Steam key with immediate early access to the World Builder. A massive 3D world builder with thousands of models for you to build any possible indoor or outdoor environment for all TTRPGs. Medieval fantasy, modern horror, and sci-fi. Click the link in the description below and back it now. My player told me I'm a horrible DM, but am I? Greetings everyone. I hope you're all having a better day than I am. So this is a piece I wanted to share with you guys which happened yesterday after my usual session of D&D and is encroaching on my mind. Here's the situation. Currently, I'm DMing for a group of people online, and I'm a very new DM. I've ran modules and one-shots, but this is the first large-scale homebrew campaign I'm running. I posted some time ago about one of my players being bored generally during the games, and received a lot of tips to make things entertaining for them, and for that I'm grateful. Sadly, the situation wasn't fixed, and yesterday it kinda blew up. During yesterday's session, my group was going around a certain town trying to uncover bits and pieces of information about a cult, which they've been investigating for some time. At one point, the same player asked if it was possible to visit a merchant so they could restock on some items. I was completely fine with it, and they quickly found themselves in a provision store. Once inside, I described the place and the attendee, a burly man named Silas. That's when the problem started as soon as I got into character. This player gave the heaviest of sighs, audible through the microphone. I wasn't sure what the problem was, so I stopped role-playing and asked if there was anything wrong. Their response was, well, devastating. What followed was a 20-minute long ramble about how my game and myself wasn't good enough. The player told me that I shouldn't try to make character voices or accents, as I wasn't good enough for them. Also, they told me they were sick of playing with a new DM that had to constantly have the DMG and the PHB at his hands, as I wasn't doing my job by learning the rules by memory. There were a lot worse things said, but I don't remember everything. I put a lot of effort into this game, at least from my perspective. I spent about a year, when I still wasn't a DM, world building, which is very hard for me to be honest. I'm taking acting classes, oratory classes, and improvisation classes to try to be a better DM as I really enjoyed it. But this player's tirade simply tore everything I had done in the past months asunder. I was frozen and didn't really know what to say. My other players tried to defend me and all, but this particular player wasn't having any of it. That's when they said something that really cut deep. He told me I should just watch Critical Role properly. It's a show I love, but I don't watch it as much as I could due to time limitations, and learn how to stop being a joke of a DM. Look, I love Matthew, and I do think he's one of the best DMs around, but I'm not him, and I don't want to be compared to him. I'm not an actor or a voice actor. I take those classes for fun, and I just started on them. It just makes me really sad. He's one of the DMs that I do in fact look up to, and being compared to him just kills me inside. Honestly, I still don't know how to process it. I ended the session there and ended up crying myself to sleep. Yeah, childish, I know, but I couldn't stop myself. Now I have no clue how to go forward. Maybe I really should just abandon the DM mantle once for all. It's disheartening and really has made a negative impact on my mind and self-esteem. I'm sorry if this is just rambling, but I really needed to put it out there. I hope you are all safe. Cheers. People had a few questions which OP wanted to clear up. 1. This group isn't made from IRL friends. It's a group I found on the internet on the platform we use to play. We use Discord mainly for the voice option, and everything else we do through an online platform. 2. I've got in contact with my other players. To be honest, they got in contact with me to make sure I was alright. We decided to take a breather for a week. 3. The player who blew out is no longer at the table. After we finished the session, they went to the group chat and continued their rambling. I didn't check it prior, and the other players went so much against him that he left on his own accord. Well, I'm still speechless. You're all amazing people, and thank you so much for your encouragement. I have thousands of miles ahead of me on the DMing road, but I won't stop now. Being a DM is really hard. Some players really don't understand the difficult decisions that a DM has to make. Here's another story of a good DM being accused of making a poor decision. You let us know if you agree with it or not. I was not the DM in this session. It was my girlfriend, but she does not speak English, so I'm here to ask for all of us. We've faced an issue we can't seem to solve. It was our second game. None of us have ever played before. We were playing the Lost Mine of Fandelver, and finally entered a room with a hostage in a cave. The goblins told us that they don't want to fight and proposed a negotiation. We had a jade statuette, and one of the PCs told the goblins that we have it. The DM said before that because it cost a lot, the goblins greedily wanted it. After that, the goblins asked 20 gold coins, and the statuette in exchange for the hostage. Since they had an advantage, 3 PCs versus 6 goblins, I told the other players that this is a good price, despite having to give them almost all our gold. But one of my friends decided to intimidate them, roleplayed and rolled a natural 20. The DM said that the goblins seemed kinda worried, but since they had a huge advantage, they only reduced the price to just the statuette. After that, my friend was visibly disappointed, and still is, almost to the point where he refuses to play anymore. We were tired at this point since it was our 6th hour or so, and I can understand his mood here. When we discussed the situation after the game, he explained his point. He had rolled a 20, and this means, in his opinion, that goblins should have released the hostage without demanding any price, because it was a 20. I tried to explain to him that it's up to the DM to decide the consequences of any player's actions, and in this situation, the DM decided not to give us more. But the player still thinks that the DM was not right in this situation, and a 20 is a 20, and he's ready to even have arguments for this game's situation. I tried to convince him that the goblins had a huge advantage here, and it was not possible that they give us the hostage without any payment, but it seems impossible to convince him. He's upset by the fact that the DM is the final judge, and it is the DM's responsibility to decide what happens next. We've tried to find some solution on what to do in situations like this, but did not come to anything. What can we do? The ruling seems very reasonable. Originally, the goblins were at a reasonable advantage and knew it. Successful intimidation made it so they weren't that sure anymore, probably assuming that the PCs were more dangerous than anticipated, making them supposedly no easy victims. In this case, taking a more reasonable price in the negotiation seems very logical. A natural 20 does not make the impossible possible. Your other players seem to assume that a 20 on intimidation makes any foe flee. However, a natural 20 does not make the impossible possible. A check should only be used if a positive result is possible. The possible result here was the goblins dropping their assumption of superiority, not them running away heads over heels. From a rule perspective, natural 1s and 20s are special for attack rolls. Always miss or hit, PHB page 194, but not otherwise, e.g. for skill checks. Of course, a GM can apply something similar to ability checks, but raw, this does not happen. You could more clearly communicate what the expected outcome is. When someone attempted to do something and a skill check is used, you can, and in this case you probably should, decide beforehand what can happen. The player attempting the task can describe what the desired outcome is, goblins running away, and the GM can explain what they deem possible. Either yes, that would be possible on a success, or no, the best you could do would be to make them reconsider the price. That way, nobody can be wildly disappointed on a good roll. Discuss about expectations. To avoid problems, it is always useful to discuss what everyone expects from the game. You should ask if the player would be okay if they knew the best they could hope for, or if they absolutely need incredible things to happen on a natural 20. If it's the latter and the other participants cannot accept that, you might have to ask the player to leave. If the expectations are too different, that's the only option. But trying to compromise first is almost always worth it. What do you think? DMs are trying their hardest to make a great game, world, characters, and please their players to be completely disrespected. If you're a player that has never DM'd and has ever acted like this, then you are way in the wrong. DMs, vent about your players in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, All Things D&D. Stay tuned for more amazing Dungeons & Dragons content.